Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. Well, this is Israel Wake Up, our Women's Line channel. This is our Women's Advanced Bible Study Night, the 19th of September, 2024. I'll be dealing with the Mount of Transfiguration, and we're going to look at that and break it down. What's really going on with it? Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, to Israel Wake Up, our sister channel, or if you want to check out this video, the hours of operation are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. We on from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time, and then on Fridays we on from 7 to 9. But we have our men's advanced Bible study, and it's on non-Messianic conversations. We're moving from our Clubhouse to our channel, non-Messianic conversations, making some changes. So you're gonna have to kind of keep your ears open. All right. So this is a non-Messianic channel. By that I mean we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms. We have some women's health. Then we do some current events, some need to know information, and we'll open it up for anybody having questions or comments from their research or from them viewing videos on this channel or something that they heard in a conversation. They wanted some clarity or they wanted to talk about it. Okay, and like I said before, we'll be dealing with the Mount of Transfiguration when JC and his supposedly met Elijah and Moses on the mountain. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna go to our moment of silence. Okay, this moment of silence for the Lord of Hosts, our Redeemer, and Yahweh, our Creator, and all that they're doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we come before Thee at this time that You have set aside for us. We are thankful for Your knowledge and the understanding that You have given us up until this point. When we seek Thy face, that You may shower us with peace and enlightenment and a sense of togetherness. Oh Lord, we see Thy hand in the affairs of the world, and we know and understand that what You have spoken in the past will surely come to pass. Turn not Thy face from us any longer, but hearken unto this plea. Hearken, O Lord, and do. All praises unto You. Okay, we're going to read the Psalms.
Shalom, everyone. Yes, I'll be reading Psalms 139, 1 through 24. O Lord, Thou hast secret me and known me. Thou knowest my sitting, my down sitting, and my uprising. Thou understandest me, understandest my thoughts afar off. Thou compassest my path and compass my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Lord, Thou knowest it altogether. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid Thy hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot attain unto it. Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall behold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light about me. Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. For thou hast possessed my reign. Thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelously, marvelous in thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. 15. My substance was not hid from thee when I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest part of the earth. Thou eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. How precious also are thy thoughts unto me, O God, how great is thy sum of them. If I should count them, they are more than numbers of the sand. When I awake, I am still with thee. Surely thou wilt slay the wicked, O God. Depart from me, therefore, ye bloody men, for they speak against thee wickedly, and thy enemies take thy name in vain. Do I hate them, O Lord, that hate thee? And am not I grieved with those that rise up against thee? I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them my enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. I've read Psalms 39, 1 through 24. This psalm, um, as it presents for being born, being born on this earth, and before we were born, God knew exactly how we were going to be. And as we come upon this earth, He knows every little thing, not just our thoughts. He knows our whereabouts. He even knows the our flesh. He knows everything. We can't hide from Him. We can only praise Him and accept Him as He has accepted us. That's what I get from 139 of Psalms.
Okay, yeah. So you have to keep in mind that they told us that Psalms is David. Is it David prophesying about Jesus? But it ain't. This
Right,
is David being the Messiah, and he's talking to the Redeemer. And so when he says, "I'm wonderfully made," he actually telling you the process when you understand when you put everything in perspective. So David is telling you how we all come into existence because he's telling you how he came into existence and his role and things that were going on with him. He said that he was wonderfully made. So same thing with Adam, same thing with Methuselah, same thing with Enoch. It's only one way, like Solomon said. It's only one way for a man to come into this world, and that's through the womb of a woman. So, and if they come through the womb of a woman, they ain't no God. Okay. So, uh,
Shalom.
yeah,
I wanted to ask something also. As I was reading this, um, and I got to the about the earth when he was saying about the parts of the earth, and as Adam was made from parts of the earth, as he formed Adam using the dust and things of the earth to form him, but as the woman was come from him, so we were not born from the earth, but we're part of Adam, or the male that was born from the earth, that was created from the earth, well, formed from the earth. And I looked at not just male, but female within this verse too, to as we're reading in Psalms, I looked at it as we are here also, both male and female, and we have to still keep in mind that whatever we do, whatever we say, um, wherever we go, and the Lord of hosts is with us. We're not to be discounted that um, because we may have hatred for our enemies, the Lord is not with us. And because we are not perfect, we're perfect in His sight. That's what I got from this part, Psalms 139. And as you said, that David was talking about him and how he was uh, made. And again, I look at how if he was speaking of just him or he's speaking of far as humans and humanity, everyone who's made from, who's formed from, who came from the form of the male, the man, and then birth from the woman. Because he already knows us. The Lord of hosts knows us prior to any any form of being a male or female. He's the one who decides and created it in the womb of the woman. That's what I got from it. But yes, sir, I understand what you're saying too, and thank you for enlightening me on that.
right. Yeah, just putting all the ducks in a row. So Adam was that's the difference in Adam and Eve. Neither one of them came through the womb of a woman, but everybody else came through the womb of a woman. So when David said that he was fashioned and formed in the womb of a woman, and that wasn't the case for Adam and Eve, because he took the rib out of Adam and made Eve. She wasn't in the womb of a woman, neither was he. And then you have to look at it also that she's made in his image. She's made in Adam is made in the image of those angels and the Creator, and she made an image of him. So that's how it comes down. So when you say man, you got to say woman. They all it's a package. Okay. Uh, so we got some women's help.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Please note that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on understanding salt versus sodium. While salt has a bad reputation for causing several health problems, it's sodium that's the troublemaker. The sad fact is, most of us have awful diets. These diets consist of fast food, processed foods, and sugary drinks. Alongside this, most of us do not get enough exercise, do not move enough, do not sweat enough, and have a host of health problems related to an unhealthy lifestyle. With that being said, did you know that salt and sodium are not the same thing? There is a difference between the two that everyone should know. We all know salt as a tiny white grains we've been sprinkling on food to enhance flavor. Salt is made up of two things, sodium and chloride. The salt we use in our kitchen is about 40% sodium and 60% chloride. Most of the world's salt is harvested from salt mines or by evaporating seawater and other mineral rich waters. Salt has a various purposes, the most common being to flavor foods. Salt is also used as a food preservative since bacteria have trouble growing in a salt rich environment. As we've seen, flavoring and preservation are the two main reasons manufacturers add sodium chloride to fast food items and many packaged foods. There are several varieties of salt, some of which you may have seen at your grocery store, but the main categories include table salt that we all use, sea salt, Himalayan, pink salt, and kosher salt. Which salt is best is up to your individual taste preference and texture, how and what types of dishes in which you like to use salt, and whether you want to add some iodine to your diet. The main benefit of choosing salts that are less processed is that you avoid additives and anti caking agents in some regular table salts. Now that we have covered salt, how different is sodium? Sodium is a naturally occurring mineral in many foods. Even healthy foods like spinach, celery, and beets contain sodium. Your body needs sodium to survive. Sodium helps your body balance fluid, making sure it's distributed appropriately where it's needed most. Excuse me. It helps control blood pressure and supports healthy nerve function. Your muscles also need sodium to help them work properly. This includes helping the muscles in your heart contract. When you consume too much sodium, your body responds by sending more fluid into your bloodstream to reduce it. Increased fluid in your bloodstream causes high blood pressure, which can lead to heart disease, stroke, and other health issues. Some of the most high sodium foods tend to include cheese, processed or seasoned meat products, fast food, frozen dinners or other packaged foods, canned soups, condiments and sauces, store bought salad dressings, kids' meals, and foods marketed to children are especially problematic. Fermented foods like kimchi and sauerkraut, just to name a few. Naturally low sodium foods are sweet potatoes, cauliflower, broccoli, carrots, artichokes, cantaloupes, bell peppers, berries, and mushrooms. Remember, fruits and vegetables are among the best low sodium foods. Plus, they're full of nutrients and taste good. Remember, sodium is an important part of a healthy diet, but too little and especially too much can damage your health. Adding salt while cooking or shaking it on food isn't necessary for most people because so many foods already contain it. And most people are already consuming way too much sodium to begin with. Cut down on processed and fast foods and increase your intake of whole plant foods to keep your sodium levels in check. If you use salt when cooking, determine which type best fits your needs and preference, and experiment with salt free seasonings to enhance flavor. If you don't use salt fortified with iodine, make sure you have another source of it, such as sea salt vegetables, or that you take an iodine supplement. I'll be reading from Leviticus chapter 2, verses 13 through 16, offerings seasoned with salt. Verse 13, in every oblation of thy meat offering shall thou season with salt, neither shall thou suffer the salt of the covenant of thy holy God to be lacking from thy meat offering. With all thine offerings thou shalt offer salt. And if thou offer a meat offering of thy first fruits unto the Lord, thou shalt offer for the meat offerings of thy first fruits green ears of corn dried by the fire, even corn beaten out of full ears. Verse 15, and thou shalt put oil upon it, and lay frankincense thereon. It is a meat offering, and the priest shall burn the memorial of it. part of the beaten corn thereof, and part of the oil thereof, with all the frankincense thereof. It is an offering made by fire unto the Lord. Tonight's discussion was on understanding salt versus sodium, and I read Leviticus chapter 2, verses 13 through 16, offerings seasoned with salt. Shalom, everyone.
Okay. Appreciate that information. Okay, we're gonna go to our current events. We're gonna play and then we'll get some feedback. Okay. Okay.
Hate to say it, but you might have to say goodbye to your bank, because right now we're getting more and more reports that banks are closing. But why? Is it because there's an increased risk to having a bank open? No. Is it because workers just don't want to work in the banking industry anymore? Well, not really. Is it because banks are running out of money because of all the financial crises going on in the world? A little bit, but there's another reason. I'm going to break down what that reason is in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So why would a bank close? Is it because they're running out of money? No, not necessarily. There's a bigger reason why banks are closing. But what's scary is that we are already getting reports of when banks are going to be leaving states. For instance, Vermont, Oregon, Maine, and Connecticut, there's predictions right now that those states will be without a banking location by 2031. So within the next roughly 6 years, we are going to see they have no banks. There's no physical banking location in those states. Guess what? New York, 2035. California, 2037. So yes, in a little over 12 years, there's reports that there will be no physical banking locations in the state of California. But why? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today. I want to show you this because this is very interesting. Look at this right here. It says major U.S. banks, including Bank of America and Chase, closed 55 branches in just 2 weeks. Is yours affected? Well, here's what I can tell you. The amount of banks that have closed recently is scary. Look at this, okay? Look at this. I thought this was very interesting. It's from American Banker. It says these U.S. banks closed the most branches in the second quarter of 2024. It says banks recently have been closing more branches than they are opening, with the top 5 banks in this ranking closing a net total of 148 locations in the second quarter of 2024, up from 100 net closures in the first quarter. In the 12-month period that ended June 30th, these top 5 banks closed a net total of 492 branches. Now, I'm going to break down why this is in just a second, but I want to show you which banks these are. So the first one, okay, I'm going to go and look at this number. This is the last 12 months, okay, ending then the end of June. But U.S. Bank closed the most, 103, okay, or based off total banks, that is. U.S. Bank closures by most branches, U.S. Bank, 103. JP Morgan Chase has actually opened 3. Comerica Bank closed 29. PNC Bank closed 124. Wells Fargo closed 239 banks. Citizen Bank, 77 have closed. Capital One Bank, 27 have closed. KeyBank, 22 have closed. Bank of America, 77. Citibank, all the way down here at the bottom, 14 have closed in the past year. Now, why is this? What are they doing with our money? Well, here's what we know. Here are some of the major reasons why banks are closing down. Now, what you need to keep in mind is, how do you bank? What do you use a physical banking location for? For me personally, and I've talked about this openly here on this channel, I don't go into my banks very often. If I do, it's really for one main reason. I'm actually going to do a cashier's check to transfer funds to another account. That's really the only reason why I go into a bank. Okay? I don't go in there for a loan. Think about it. When was the last time you have gone into your bank to file for a loan? Think about it. When was the last time? I know for me personally, I haven't done it. I haven't done it. For number one, I haven't needed a loan recently. When I got a loan for my most recent home purchase, didn't even need to go into a bank. Okay, I did a lot of stuff online, reached out to a lender, and everything was done, via email. Almost everything was done through email. But when was the last time you went to the bank to cash a check? Like, check your balance. You check your balance online, cash a check. You can take a picture from your smartphone and you can cash your check that way. Right? You can do it all online. When was the last time you went in to take money out? And I know a lot of people say, oh, you can just go to the ATM machine. You don't even have to go to the ATM machine. I can go to any store. I could go to a Fred Meyer, a Kroger. I could go to probably a Best Buy, a dollar store, and I could get cash back on my transaction. In some cases, it's free. I don't have to pay anything to get cash back. Yeah. So instead of going to an ATM machine and maybe getting charged $2 to potentially $7 for a transaction for an out-of-network ATM, I can just go to Target and get cash back. That's how simple that is. Again, never need to go to a bank. Now, if banks, and traditionally or historically, banks, you go in and you check your balance, you can cash a check, you can take money out, you can go straight to the cashier. You can do all those things with an ATM machine. You can do all those things with that little device that you put in your hand, okay? Your cell phone. Yeah, you can do all those things from your cell phone. So this is why banks are closing. And I was talking to a friend of mine recently who manages a bank down in California, a small regional bank, and he was saying the exact same thing, that he's been in the banking industry for about 18 years, 19 years, something like that, and he thinks it's about time to change. He does not think the banking industry is a viable business, something that he wants to stay in for another 10 to 20 years, mainly because he doesn't think he will be around that long. He thinks the banking industry is going to change. Banks are going to close. And as banks close and these employees go find a different job, what are you going to do? And I bring this up because some people don't like using the internet. Some people aren't safe going to or don't feel safe going to an ATM machine and taking money out. Some people don't like cashing a check using their cell phone or taking it to an ATM machine, putting it through the little little slot and hoping that everything's done right. So this is another issue that we are going to face is, what about all those that are unbanked, don't have a debit card, don't have a savings account? What about all them? What do they do? So I bring this to your attention for one main reason. We are getting reports that more banks are going to be closing. I talked to another person, an acquaintance, not really a close friend, but he said that banks are starting to change. Their hours of operation are becoming less. Their services are becoming limited. They will just tell you to go online, and they are simply closing at nearby competing locations. Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Okay, any comments on that?
Shalom, everyone. I think years ago we started to see the change in banking. Like he said, you can use your cell phone to take a picture of your check to deposit it. You didn't have to go to the bank anymore. One of the banks that I use now, the teller is like a all-in-one. It's not you don't go to the teller window anymore. It's just like a teller machine. A live person is there. and you can push the chat with that person, or either you can use it as an ATM and they're open till 7. And now that bank is not open on Saturdays anymore when it used to be. But I think we see changes in the banking system all across. So look at Bank of America. I think he said like 77 branches was closing, and that's
Right.
one the largest banks, a lot of people use. So I just think that, like everything else, the banking system is just going to be changing a lot. Things that we're going to have to get used to doing that we're not used to doing.
Right, exactly. It's no different than a dollar store than a bank, because people don't need to go there no more, because everything is being used, like you were saying, through the phone. You actually have everything you need in your hand in the phone. So it's like it's obsolete. It's becoming obsolete. Yeah.
Right. And I think it's,
Shalom.
oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Sister Cheryl.
I want to say he didn't mention about this other way of handling money, Cash App, um, how they have came up and it's everywhere. You really don't have a bank. You have a Cash App card, or it can be on your phone, and there's no bank. There's just someone sends you money from phone to phone, or you go and put the money, take your card, go to Walmart or anywhere and ask to place the money on that, like PayPal, those kind of things like that. They are really, you know, when you go to Amazon, this is, oh, you have PayPal, you have Cash App, you have all these other things that can work without having a bank. He didn't mention
Exactly.
that part, but yes, that's really high up. Even when the gentleman who created it or who started it is no longer um, here, it's still thriving. I think that's one of the reasons too. And then
Exactly.
maybe the bigger banks are buying out or taking away from the smaller banks, and they have to close because of the bigger banks are, you know, are going away. But they are stationed in certain areas that money has to flow through something, has to go through something. So again, yeah, the smaller banks are leaving because of the bigger banks. It's gonna have places where you would have to, if it comes down to, you know, the deed of your home or whatever, working through those, and the corporations of, um, people who getting paid, they're sending it straight to their bank instead of, getting a physical cash now. So it is going into a bank, but I think the smaller banks are going to leave like they're saying. Shalom.
Okay. Okay, we got another one right here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Well, we should have known something like this was going to happen. We should see it coming. When you understand how this system operates, you would see this right here coming. So right now, there is a billionaire. He is predicting that all hell is going to break loose if Kamala Harris wins. This is what he is predicting. I'm going to get into it in just a moment with exactly what he's talking about. But he's saying a lot of things are going to happen. The housing market, the financial market, I mean, all kinds of things he's predicting are going to go wrong if she wins. Now, the first thing that came to mind for me is how these people who the world entrusts their money with, they know how to manipulate markets. They know how to manipulate situations. They know how to do all of this in their own favor, right? They're okay with everybody else being at the bottom. But if there's any hint of anything going on that they don't like, well, they can manipulate the markets. Trust and believe that these people know exactly what they are doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And so they put these reports out there because they want you to know that if you don't vote in my direction, then this is what's going to happen. And they're also saying that I'm going to help it happen. So I'm going to show you all how this billionaire, he's able to make this prediction because he's going to be a part of what the problem is. Now, they tried this before, y'all, but apparently it backfired on them. But this is still how they use their media. They use their media for their purpose, for their agenda, for their benefit, right? So let's get into exactly what this man is talking about. So we are talking about a billionaire hedge fund manager. He says he is going to pull his money out from the market if Harris wins. He's going to pull his money out. There he is. It says John Paulson, a top fundraiser for Trump, says Harris policies would cause uncertainty in the markets. So that's why he's going to pull his money out, is what he's saying. But listen to all of this, right? It says hedge fund billionaire and major Trump fundraiser John Paulson said Tuesday he will pull his money out of the market if Vice President Harris wins the presidential election this fall, saying the Democrat nominee's economic policy would spook investors. So they leak this kind of stuff out there because they're trying to get people to go in a certain direction. They like to control everything. They want to be on top of every movement, every action, every thought, the cause and effect of everything. It says the Paulson & Co. founder, known for his lucrative bet against the subprime mortgage in 2007, appeared on Fox Business, the Clayman Countdown, where host Liz Clayman asked him what he sees as the next bet similar to that. Well, I would say it very much depends on who's in the White House and who controls Congress, Paulson replied. I'd be very concerned if Harris is elected and pursues the tax plans and other economic plans that she articulated. Paulson said during the interview that former President Trump and Harris' plans for the economy are very different, noting that Trump wants to extend the 2017 tax cuts implemented during his term in office, while Harris wants to let them expire. He also noted that Harris has proposed raising the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28% and wants to raise capital gains rate from 20% to 28%. The billionaire pointed to Harris's proposed 25% tax on unrealized gains for individuals with a net worth of $100 million or more. And he predicted that if implemented, it would cause mass selling of almost everything: stocks, bonds, homes, art. I think it would result in a crash in the markets. Wow. He said it would result in a crash in the markets. So I see exactly what is going on here. A crash in the markets and an immediate, pretty quick recession. I see what's going on here. He doesn't like the fact that she wants to raise taxes on the wealthy. Anyone who's worth $100 million or more. See, Donald Trump wants to keep taxes for the wealthy low, right? But she wants to raise taxes on the wealthy. To me, that makes more sense, but they're saying no. We don't want that. And if she does this, we are going to pull our money out. He's saying that if she wins, it's going to result in the crash of the markets and immediate, pretty quick recession. Clayman went on to note that some people who were concerned about the policies of previous presidents, namely Barack Obama, Trump, and Joe Biden, pulled their money out of the markets when they were elected, and the move turned out to be a big mistake as the markets continue to perform well. So why is he trying to stir the water now, trouble the water now? Why? The thing is, they want who they want, right? But Paulson has said the market timing, investor timing will really matter depending on who is president, and Clayman asked him if he is all ready to take that chance. It depends on the policies, Paulson said. If Harris was elected, I would pull my money from the market. I go into cash and I go into gold because I think the uncertainty regarding the plans they outline will create a lot of uncertainty in the markets and likely lower the markets. So this is what this man is saying. He's thinking things are going to crash and it's going to affect the buying of everything, right? He said it would cause a mass selling, should I say, of almost everything: stocks, bonds, homes, art. So if she wins, people will start selling their homes. That's a great asset. Now, this one kind of threw me for a loop when they said art. I'm like, art? See, that's another market they manipulate. And I found out how they use art to manipulate the markets and how they use it to hide wealth, actually. They say that they spend all this money on a piece of art, right? They're buying a piece of art for $23 million. There's not one thing painted ever on this planet, to me, that is worth millions of dollars. But this is how they do other transactions. They pretend like art is so valuable, y'all. Can y'all see the tricks of the trade?
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom. By him saying he will pull out his money, and if every billionaire or millionaire takes upon that, that's crashing the market right there. Because those banks that they're with, or the loans for people, or the holding the people's deeds of homes, and the bank is what is keeping this place together, for as them wanting to do stock market and things like that. He's saying those things will go down, but if the bank works like it works, then he pulls his money out right there, wherever he has it at, that area is going to crash automatically, because they're using his money, or using the quote unquote dollar signs that he has in the bank, to fund and help everything else that they're doing. I don't understand his. It's just like he said, just like she said, it's to stir up stuff to make someone second guess their voting um, choices or choice.
Got it? Anybody else got something?
Shalom. I just have a little something. We got to look at it either way. If she wins or Trump win, you know, I feel as though hell is going to break loose regardless. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we got to look at a lot of other things in this message too that's out there about a cashless America, where they're going to be doing away with cash. I just think it's a lot of things in the video that she played that we need to pay attention to, because they always warn us or put things out there before it actually happens. We just have to go through it and pick through it and figure out what they're trying to say to us. But a lot of things we know is going down to the pits, so we just got to stay prayed up and aware of what's going on around us.
Right, exactly. Yeah, kind of. One of the things is Hollywood. They tell you, if you watch, especially those blockbuster movies and stuff, they're telling you what's going to happen if you zero in. And for example, when she was talking about the art, there's two things with that. If you go back to Hitler, when Hitler was conquering, the main thing he was doing when he was conquering all those countries was he was taking all their art and stacking it up, and he was taking all the gold. And then I was recently watching a season series called Snowpiercer. I don't know if anybody has seen it before, but it's called Snowpiercer. And on that train, it's a train. These people shot some bombs up into the ionosphere, and they messed up the ionosphere and caused the whole Earth to snow, extreme snow. Real low temperatures where nobody could live on it except the ones that got on that train. And on that train, all on all the walls, they had all this art. from all these different places. They had it stored up on the train on the walls. It's kind of ironic that he just said that. That she just said that. Yeah. So with that being said, go to some need to know information. Okay.
On earth voted at the United Nations to condemn Israel's illegal occupation of Palestinian territory, and they demanded that Israel end its occupation and withdraw all troops and settlers with.
So the world, at the UN, the world demands that Israel end the occupation of Palestine, right? So the world demands this.
Within 12 months. The vote was overwhelming, with 124 countries voting in support of the resolution, just 14 countries voting against, including the United States and its allies, and 43 countries abstained. Now, there are officially 193 UN member states. That means that 64% voted in favor, that is nearly 2/3 of countries, and only 7% of countries voted against the resolution. 7%, including the US and its allies. Now, to summarize the main points of the resolution, I'm reading here from the official UN news agency. It noted that, quote, the resolution calls for Israel to comply with international law and withdraw its military forces, immediately cease all new settlement activity, evacuate all settlers from occupied land, and dismantle parts of the separation wall it constructed inside the occupied West Bank. The General Assembly further demanded that Israel return land and other immovable property, as well as all assets seized since the occupation began in 1967, and all cultural property and assets taken from Palestinians and Palestinian institutions. The resolution also demands Israel allow all Palestinians displaced during the occupation to return to their place of origin and make reparation for the damage caused by its occupation. The resolution stems from the advisory opinion issued by the International Court of Justice in July. A bit later here in this analysis, I'm going to look at this very important ruling, this historic ruling by the International Court of Justice, the top UN legal authority, demanding that Israel end its illegal occupation of Palestinian territory.
The key to fast repairs is having tools organized and close at hand. U.S. General's top-rated cards provided.
Okay.
At a map that I created that illustrates what this UN General Assembly vote looked like. And you can see very clearly a trend here. The West largely supports Israel, and the Global South largely supports Palestine. And of course, the Global South is the global majority. It represents about 85% of the world population, whereas the West is the global minority, only representing around 15% of the world.
So notice it's like 2/3 in there. So that's like I said, you want to try to see the hand of the Lord in that 2/3 against the Israelis, right? And then also that same number is 2/3 of the world inside with BRICS. So these same countries that's demanding Israel to back up off Palestine is the same countries that side with BRICS.
Population. There are a few exceptions, but the vast majority of Asia, Africa, and Latin America voted to condemn Israel's occupation and demand that it end it within 1 year. You can see that, as always, the United States voted against the resolution that is in support of Israel's illegal occupation. It was joined by the far-right government in Argentina, led by the extremist Javier Milei, and the right-wing government in Paraguay. Also in Europe, the right-wing government in Hungary and in Czechia also voted in support of Israel's occupation, opposing the resolution. This is important to point out because Hungary's right-wing leader, Viktor Orban, is often portrayed as someone who supposedly stands up against Western warmongering because he is sympathetic to Russia and has opposed the proxy war in Ukraine. But in reality, Viktor Orban is viciously anti-Muslim, and he loves the Israeli apartheid regime and has been extremely anti-Palestinian. In a similar vein, it's also important to point out that the most populous country on earth, India, abstained in this resolution. This is very shameful because for decades, India had been a leader of the non-aligned movement. And historically, when India was governed by the center-left Congress Party, it had strongly supported the Palestinian struggle for human rights and liberation. But in the past decade, India has been governed by a far-right political party, the BJP, and its Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, who are extremely anti-Muslim and also have allied more closely with the United States, and they love Israel. They, in fact, see the Israeli apartheid regime as a model for what they call the Hindu Rashtra, that is the theocratic Hindu state that they want to create in India. But aside from India, if you look at the global south, you can see that the vast majority of countries voted to support Palestinian liberation and to oppose Israel's occupation. There were only a few countries in Africa that abstained, which are some very big countries, including Ethiopia, Kenya, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. They joined with the Western powers. Of course, Canada and Australia, which are close US allies, they abstained as well, along with Ecuador, which is currently governed by a US citizen, and South Korea abstained. However, what's really noteworthy about this vote is Japan, one of the closest US allies, a member of the G7, actually voted in support of the resolution. This is a significant historical shift. The current Japanese government has been speaking out more and more in support of Palestine because they're so concerned about the horrific atrocities that Israel is committing in Gaza with full U.S. support. And joint.
Okay. Anybody have comments on that? Maybe paying attention to. Okay. So with that being said, open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments about anything they came across in their searching or in their studying, or something they heard on this channel that they want to talk about, discuss?
Shalom,
Okay.
everyone. Oh, sorry, Sister Cheryl. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things that I ran across, earlier this weekend doing my research, a little bit more on health and what's going on, right? So,
Right.
like I always say, Bill Gates is always predicting something, the next pandemics and so forth, right? So
Mhm.
I know here maybe a year or two ago, there was something that came out, a little training exercise that came out on this new pandemic, right? And the pandemic is called enterovirus, right? That's what it's called.
Okay.
It's a pretty long name for it, but the short term is called SEERS, SEERS, right?
Yes.
So SEERS, I thought I had wrote it down, but I'll get you the total name of it. It's a severe epidemic enterovirus respiratory syndrome, right? So just like they done before the CV, they had done the same thing, a pandemic exercise, and they had like fake newscasters on there, like almost sort of like a little fake documentary, right? And
Right.
instead of it being called CNN, it was called GNN, right? And this was before the CV hit. So now they done again another fictional little scenario of what happens if another pandemic hits in 2025, which is this SEERS. And
Okay.
yeah, you can research it. It'll all come up for you. You may have to do a little bit more depth research to really find out what's going on, but Just do a basic research and you will find out about it. And I just wanted to mention that just so that we are aware, we're doing the research and we are ahead of the game, because we know whatever he predicts, he's involved in.
Okay.
So we can be looking for something. If it's not Sears, it's going to be something that is going to come out like it in 2025. So like I said, they had, a same scenario with a training exercise, and it's called Event 201. If you look that up, you'll find the information on what I'm talking about. But it's called Event 201, where they predicted what was going to happen when the CV came about.
Okay. Somebody else?
Shalom. I was going to say no. I didn't have anything to say.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna play this right here. I talked about it a little bit, but I'll play it because it's important when you paying attention to what's going on.
Now, also, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger are introducing new biometric passports as they sever ties with the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to form a new Sahel alliance. The three military-led nations announced their departure from the 15-member bloc in January, and Burkina Faso has already rolled out passports without the ECOWAS logo. Now, Malian junta leader Assimi Goïta confirmed that the new passports are part of the alliance of Sahel states aim to harmonize travel documents and facilitate global mobility. A shared information channel will also be launched to promote consistent communication among the three countries. Now, ECOWAS has warned that this move could impact the freedom of movement and common markets within the region.
We're joined now by RISE analyst, Dr. Constance Ikoku. Constance, glad to have you join us this morning.
Good morning.
Well, they're giving their reason for severing ties with ECOWAS in July. They said this is because they want to establish a community of sovereign states based on African values, free from foreign intervention. Of course, already they have asked the French to leave their country. What's your sense of this reason they are giving?
Well, these three nations have made what can be considered as a significant move, because this cements their alliance and they are taking concrete steps in spite of the fact that ECOWAS has warned of further disintegration within the bloc. These nations have, said they are launching the biometric passport as a way of harmonizing travel documents within the common area. And they're not listening to ECOWAS because they say they want their countries to be far from the control of foreign powers. This can be understood within the context of the unwieldy influence of France, which was a former colonial power in these countries, and the consideration that, or the sentiment that France has not served them well. On the geopolitical dimension, what we are seeing is that they are looking for fresh perspectives and fresh partners, whether it's Russia, whether it's China. They believe that they have to find another way to run their region. Now, ECOWAS is a little bit jittery, but also what this says, or what this indicates, is that there was a mismanagement of the crisis or the fiasco with these countries. It could have been managed better, but now this presents a problem for the ECOWAS authorities.
And I think one more problem that we can talk about is sort of what are the immediate political or economic consequences that we may see for citizens of Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, especially in terms of regional integration and cross-border movement?
Well, that has to be discussed, because the first thing is that you will have to ask, how would they move within the ECOWAS region? There used to be a 15-member nation free visa movement. Now they have formed their own alliance. What would that look like? My sense is that there will be discussions on how this will impact them politically and economically. Like I said initially, it was a military collaboration between them. They're expanding the framework, and they seem to know what they are doing within the context of the historical ties that they feel should be changed dramatically, and they're taking steps to do that. I think that in the coming months, there will be more talks between them and ECOWAS to find a middle ground here. It is unfortunate that the region has been fractured. It is not something that we need to see, and it has happened under the leadership of Nigeria. It may.
So, like I said before, you got Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali that came together, and they got one passport. So it's a whole lot. If you're paying attention, it's a lot going on in that region that's affecting the whole world. So, anybody got questions or comments on that? If you don't, we're gonna go on to the class. Okay,
Shalom,
yeah.
Brother Leonard. I just wanted to make a comment on the passports, and I don't know if you guys have seen this. So if you already have a passport and it's about to expire, you don't have to go in person anymore. You can renew it online now too. If your name has not changed, if it was something else on there. There was quite a few things that if anything has not changed since you first got it, you can renew it online. So I'm saying there are so many different things that are going on that we don't know anything about, that we just kind of got to share information like that. And I ran across an article about that the other day about passports. So all you got to do is pay your fee online, upload a new picture, and if your name is the same since you first got the passport, then you can just renew it online.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like I said, it's not just here, but you're starting to see over the last I'd say 10 years. There's been a lot of focus on passports, whether it's here or whether, but all of a sudden, this big thing started coming up about people having passports on them. It's a reason for it, because we can see all the turmoil, and it's a lot of people moving and relocating and all that, but they're not really talking about it, especially blacks.
Right. Yes, sir.
Right.
Shalom. They haven't mentioned about the ones who are banning the passport, the ECOWAS. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, but there's other places that wants to ban it, like West Africa. I think it's Judah. The leader wants to ditch the passport. Another one that wants to ban it is Taraore, Traore. There's some that doesn't want this to happen. They
Togo.
don't want people, yes, sir, doesn't want them to unite in that sort of way of what they're talking about. They don't want that to happen.
Right, exactly. Yeah. All those countries that don't want it to happen, they on the side with Americans, and that's where the turmoil coming from. The reason why so much drama going on around Tory is because he don't want to deal with them no kind of way, but they want to be connected to them because pretty much most of those African leaders over there was put into power by the U.S. So they wasn't. It wasn't that the people liked them and voted them in. America was behind the scene and manipulated, and so they looking at their little glory and their little position as being challenged. And that's what a lot of that's about. But like you said, you can't stop with what's been prophesied. You can't stop it. And that's all we're looking at, prophecy. Okay. So like I said before, the topic inside the class is the Mount of Transfiguration, right? Does anybody know what that is? Anybody heard about that? Know what the Mount of Transfiguration is?
No, sir.
Shalom. Is that the mount where JC was supposed to have went and changed, like where there was this light on him or something, and his
Right.
clothes had changed or something?
Yeah.
Am I in the right? Okay.
Right. Same thing. And while he took the disciples up there with him on
Right.
the mountain,
Yes.
and then he
Mm-hmm.
transfigured, transformed in front of them. It's like an angel of light, right? And then, but Elijah and Moses showed up on the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So just for GP, Elijah and Moses, that came hundreds of years before that. So, and then we ain't have no photographers, no photographs. So how the hell the prophets, the apostles know who they was? That's one thing to think about. Just
Right.
they don't, I ain't no reals, all of them. I mean, just boom off whim like that. Not you know who they are. Come on, man. You can see the third person in that too, right? So anyway, so I'm gonna read it first, then I'm gonna play a little video about it, and we're gonna look at the holes that's in it, poke the holes in it. So it's in Matthew chapter 17, yeah, Matthew 17, and it's I'm reading 1 through 13. Okay, so here we go. So Matthew 17, verse 1. And after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, John, his brother, and bringing them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah talking with him. Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud, which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I was well pleased. Hear ye him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their faces and were so afraid. And Jesus came and touched them and said, Arise and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man save Jesus only. And as they came down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, Tell the vision to no man until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say scribes that Elijah must first come? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elijah is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake to them with John the Baptist. Okay. So when I read that, anybody got any comments or anything before we go into the breakdown? Okay. So first off, we know that you got to go back and look at, like I say, what so many people don't do. If they would do it, like I just said, how do this probably 1,000 years or so, close to 1,000 years between the time this is supposed to happen and when Moses and Elijah had lived at least 600-700 years. So why they know how they look? How they know that was Elijah and so you can see it's a third person that wrote that. You can see it. How do these mean why you know the Elijah, what Elijah and Moses looked like? They said they saw him, they were standing off a ways, they saw them talking to Jesus. They ain't say who they was. But just right off the bat, they know it's Elijah. They know it's Elijah and Moses. So like I said before, the person that wrote it is telling you that it's Elijah and Moses. Okay? So we're gonna keep going. So anyway, it says after 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John, his brother, and his brother, and brought them up on a higher mountain apart. Like I said before, go to Exodus chapter 3. That's where Moses met the Lord of hosts on a mountain. So like I said before, the person that wrote this knew all that, right? So keep going. And it says, and he was transfigured before them, right? Check it out. He was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as light. Do they remind anybody of anything in the Old Testament? Did Moses come down off the mountain and his raiment shine?
Yes, sir. When he did the 10 Commandments. Yes, sir.
Right. He came down, his face shine. He had to cover his head with a cloth because his face shone. So 3, and behold, there appeared unto him. See that? This is third person. Think third person. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah talking with them. See that? There's somebody telling you that. Moses and Elijah. And the Peter and James ain't saying this. It says, behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah. See that? Talking with him. Then answered Peter and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elijah. So what he talking about is, the 14 days, the festival of booths, and they have to go out in the woods and break tree limbs down and make booths, and they have to live in those booths for 14 days. That's them I'm trying to find the word, reliving or commemorating when they came out of Egypt. That's what those 14 days, the Festival of Booths is about. So he's saying, let us make a booth for Elijah and one for Moses and Elijah, right? So anyway, 5 says, and while he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud. Check it out. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. Okay? Does that remind anybody of anything? Okay? Let's go to Ezekiel. Like I said, it's a joke. Once you got your head screwed on, you're thinking like a Hebrew. So, I'm in Ezekiel chapter 1, right? It says Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 13th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Kabar, that the heavens were open, and I saw a vision of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, the word of the Lord came unto me. See that? Word of the Lord, right? The Lord of hosts came expressly unto Ezekiel, the priest, son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans, by the river Kabar, and the hand of the Lord was upon me. Now here you go. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, see that? And a fire unfolding itself, and brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof was a color of amber, out of the midst thereof. So this is what I was telling you about. This is a perfect example of typology. So they went back here. Like if you notice, I talked about it a little bit before, but you notice how when you searching out the truth, that when these men, when our forefathers wrote this down, they're actually telling you how everything go if you read it right. So Ezekiel says, verse 4, and I looked. So he's telling you how we know that nothing changed. Whatever Ezekiel saw, if the Lord come again, he coming the same way. He ain't coming no different. Because Ezekiel telling you how this is how he came. And then we see the same thing in when they come out of Egypt. There's a cloud over them, and then the Lord of hosts was behind them in the fire. But it's a cloud. But notice it tells you right here that it says in Ezekiel chapter 4, I looked and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire unfolding itself, and brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof was the color of amber, out of the midst thereof was fire. Then you keep going, and then he tells you that verse 5, also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. So I told you they were. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, they in the cloud with him, the 4 angels. So over here, like I said, this how you get this is why they say it. Nobody seems to get it, but that's why they saying the Lord, thy God is one God. Because Constantine wanted one God. He wanted to rule the Roman Empire with one God, one emperor, and one religion. That's why he's saying one, but we see it ain't no one. It tells you at 4 angels in there with him. So why in the hell would he say the Lord, I'm by myself? Okay. Anyway, so it says that in 17:5 it says, while he yet spake. Remember, the clown that wrote this, he didn't already read all this over there. He know how the Most High works because the prophets had told him. So he says, 5, while he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud. See, he got that from over there. Overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud. See, there ain't nobody talking in the cloud nowhere else but right here. So he says, and while he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, now this is he telling you that a cloud came like the one we see it all through the Old Testament, and then the punchline come in to bring JC in. This is a perfect example of typology. And this is and he says, and which said, a voice came out of the cloud which said, this is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him. So you say, well, what you talking about? I mean, why they can't be so? Well, let's go back here. I go here all the time. Show you how crazy this is. So I'm in Exodus, right? I'm in Exodus chapter 23. Okay, I go here all the time. Y'all know where I'm going. Exodus chapter 23. Moses on the mountain. Moses on the mountain. That's why they got him on the mountain. So Moses, Lord of hosts came down on Mount Sinai with all the Israelites there, and he came and told Moses. Lord of hosts told Moses in verse 20, behold, I sent an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, or he will not pardon your transgression. So he told them right here, this angel is the one you gonna listen to here. Then you get over here, and JC, now the same God in verse 5, 17:5 says, while he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, look at this, which said, this is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him. Look at that, man. Come on. It's crazy as hell. So anyway, let that ferment. And then 6. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their faces and were so afraid. Right? So I want you to see that. Let's look at that. It's crazy. So Daniel. Daniel. Like I say, this strictly for the Gentile or strictly for the person that's mind been diluted. They go for this. Anyway, so chapter 10. This when Daniel saw the Lord of hosts. Right? Chapter 10 of Daniel. I want you to see this. So Daniel says in Daniel chapter 10, verse 4, in the 4th and 20th day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river Hiddekel, then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, who was girded about with gold of Upas, and his body was like I told you, they always going to explain to you. That's why they're able to do what they did in the New Testament. Because these prophets going to always explain to you, because it's going to come a time when you don't see him. Right? So it says that a body also was like a burrow, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like the color of polished brass, and his voice as the voice of words of many, as the voice of a multitude. Now here you go. Right? So when they wrote this, they didn't know what Most High was going to do 2,000 years later, right? Verse 7. And I, Daniel, see that? He makes sure he tell you, I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. For the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled away. Now look over here, verse 6, because this clown he got another agenda. So he says, verse 5, while he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them, and behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, this is my beloved son. So he just right there, he just X'd out the Lord of hosts, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him. So in so many words, obey his voice. Right? Then 6. And when this, check it out. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their faces and were so afraid. They ain't flee like the men over here. That's who the Lord of hosts is. That's when you start describing him, is he who they flee. He who brings fear. When he come, everybody take off running. But these clowns right here says, and when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were so afraid. They didn't get limp or numb or flee. They just fell on their face. And then here you go, 7. And Jesus came and touched them. Okay, let's look at that. We ain't gonna skip a beat. So we ain't back over here in Daniel, right? So this plagiarism, right, is the highest form. So it says, Daniel chapter 10, back in chapter 10, right, verse 18, the angels came to Daniel, right? Then verse 18 says, then there came again and touched me. See that? And then there came again, touched me, one like the appearance of a man, and strengthened me. And he said, oh man, greatly beloved, so it's Gabriel. He came and touched him. So they know all that. They got our scriptures. So over here, verse 7, and Jesus came and touched them. See that? And said, arise and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man save Jesus only. And as they came down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, tell the vision to no man until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. So you say, what are you talking about? Every time somebody had a vision in the Old Testament, when they proclaimed, when they told them to go tell it, vision was for to be. See that? Come on. So anyway, 10, and his disciples asked him, saying, why then? Now here go the drama. If you don't believe none of that, let's go, we're gonna deal with this. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say describes that Elijah must first come, right? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. Now check this out. This is in red. It's in red. Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elijah is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he was talking about John the Baptist. So he's John the Baptist. Elijah got his own body and his soul and spirit. Elijah got his own body and soul. It says that when Abraham died, he was gathered unto his fathers, his spirit. When Moses died, he was gathered unto his fathers. So how in hell is John the Baptist Elijah? He's not Elijah. So anyway, verse 10 says, and the disciples asked him, asking, why being say the scribes that Elijah must first come? So why they saying that? Okay, go to the last chapter in the Old Testament. In the last chapter or the Old Testament, Malachi, 4th chapter of Malachi. And you can rightly divide it for yourself. So it says right here, this is why Elijah on the mountain with him. Okay, this is why he on the mountain. They got him on the mountain. The person that wrote it got him on the mountain with him because of this is why I'm getting ready to read. It says, the last chapter, chapter 4 of Malachi, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all proud, yea, all that do wickedly shall be stubble. Elijah dead, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, says the Lord of hosts. See that? Said the Lord of hosts. So who you gonna believe? That it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves and stall, and ye shall tread down the wicked. See that? The Israelites gonna tread, not Jesus. It says, and ye, the Israelites, shall tread down the wicked. That's Ezekiel 37. And they shall be ashes under their feet, on the soles of your feet, in the day that I shall do this, says the Lord. Why? Ashes under their feet. Because they're going to be like the angel of the Lord. They're going to be consuming fire. Like in Zechariah chapter 12. And then 4. Remember ye the laws of Moses, my servant. That's why Moses, this is why they got Moses on the mountain with Jesus right here. Remember ye the laws of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb, on the Horeb, on the mountain of Horeb, for all Israel with the statutes and the judgments. Now here you go. Behold, it's the Lord of hosts talking. Behold, I will send you Elijah. See that? Not Jesus. Jesus ain't sending nobody. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of that great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn his heart. He shall turn the hearts of the fathers, that's our fathers in the graves, to the children, we the children that's alive, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. So my point is this. He says Elijah dead. And then he said, next time you see Elijah, this is what's going to go down. Not this bullshit over here, excuse me. Not this. Right here. Not him being on the mountain with JC. The next time you see Elijah going to turn the hearts of the children back to their fathers in that great and dreadful day of the Lord. You see that?
Yes, sir. When we see Elijah, we're going to see Elijah. We're not going to see
John the Baptist. Ain't no baptizing. Don't say nothing about no baptism. When he come back, he says Elijah's going to turn the hearts of the fathers back to their children. And that means that the Israel, Ezekiel 37 already happened. Not no transfiguration on no mountain. This is the whole reason why they're showing you Moses, the person that wrote this, already read all that over there. and he trying to solidify and make JC good because he went back to that story and brought this up. Moses and Elijah then showed up, but now where they at now? They gone. But that ain't what the Old Testament say. When you see Elijah and them again, all hell done broke loose. You see that?
Yes, sir, Brother Leonard. I'm really, as you're reading this, right? This is just all just thrown off, right? Of
Right.
you going back and forth between, Matthew and the Old Testament, right? So to me, it's like they're trying to say the what's in the Old Testament is not complete. Like
right.
You know
He's
what I'm
supposed
saying?
to be the fulfillment.
Oh,
He's supposed to be the fulfillment. So they had to make a like I said, through typology, they had to make a way to make it look like he was coming to fulfill things. That's why they had to get JC. I mean, Lord Hope out the picture.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
and not only that, what people don't understand is that those people back then thought that was him. All that was being fulfilled then. So they extended the story to now because when Constantine came and he wanted to use all that as to rule this empire with, so they extended it out. But like he said, this generation that's in red, this generation that's standing here gonna see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Come on, you can't get out of that. And so right there, he was when he wrote that, he was making it look like JC was the one. This was it because here go Elijah and Moses.
The arrival of that so-called promised one, like
right, exactly.
Crazy.
And it accomplished his part. It accomplished his purpose back then because he ruled. They ruled the world with that. But he ain't making no. And then we've been dumbed down. But now that he waking the Israelites back up, it ain't working. It's garbage.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it ain't working.
Yeah.
And the crazy part about it is these Negroes, you got all these so-called educated Negroes, they can't see none of that.
Right.
And you can't get mad. You can't get mad. It's, like I say, we're gonna wait and see what happens.
Right. In the first place, that a lot of Hebrew Israelites that's saying that they are awakened, but the first place they go to is the New Testament to quote scriptures when it's already in the Old Testament, and not even understanding what you have just explained tonight. They're thinking what I just said, that they're waiting on the promised one, like when it talks about the Son.
Right. Exactly. Like I said, he just told them, listen to him. The same God that came and told Moses, I'm sending an angel before you, listen to him. Now he come because he plagiarizing it. Now it ain't the angel no more. It ain't the Lord of hosts. Now it's JC. Come on, man. Garbage.
But they skipped all over Malachi 3 and 6 where it says, for I am the Lord, I change not.
Right, exactly.
Add that in now.
I mean, you don't see none of that because you like I said, you already been prepped and primed from the time you was born. You don't see none of that. It's when the light bulb go off and you realize JC suspect. If you don't never see him or see him as a suspect, then you ain't gonna never see none of this. You're gonna go right over the cliff with the rest of the Negroes. Oh yeah.
Shalom, as to say that he is still been the Lord of hosts did not want any sacrifice as a human, and he was a human being sacrificed. So right there you see that it's an idol right there, that he's not the true. And they skip over that. They put him as a lamb, trying to go with the Old Testament as you place a lamb on the altar. So they're saying he was the lamb to be sacrificed, but they
Right.
actually stabbing him in the side and all of that and hanging him on the cross as a human sacrifice. He doesn't condemn burning or presenting anything to him as a person for a human sacrifice. It's why Abraham's son did not get sacrificed like that, because he didn't
Right.
get he wasn't put on there. There's no human.
Right. And then he ain't dealing with no human sacrifice. It's crazy. That's the crazy part about it right there. You should be your ears should be perking up right there, because he ain't sacrificing no humans. Like the brother said, Moses tried it when they sinned at the mountain, and then Moses, the Lord said he's going to get rid of all of them, and then Moses said, "No, Lord, let me sacrifice me in their stead." And he said, "No, every man gonna die for his own sins." So if he had a program set in place that some human gonna die, he'd have did it right there with Moses.
Yes, sir.
It's great. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like I said before. You hear this and you think it's blasphemy, but no, you got shackles around your brain. That's why you can't see it. It's a stone cold idol. Come on. Well, yeah.
Yes,
And
sir.
like
I don't know about.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, Brother Leonard. I was going to say, I don't know about them, but I'm going to hearken to the Lord of the Old Testament. What he talking about is crazy. I mean,
Yeah,
as you was reading that, I'm thinking that is just, oh, man. Crazy.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
then, like I said, it's elementary. Where all they did was plagiarize it. All they did was plagiarize everything and got you thinking that it's to my dualism. And so what is dualism? They got a god called Janus and Jambres with two heads. You got a face in the front and a face in the back. That's what that is. Typology is tied to that. It's all Greek and Egyptian and Greek. Ain't got nothing to do with Hebrews or Israelite way of life. Like I said, look at the Pharaoh. When the Pharaoh had the dream, it's giving you, showing you what's going on. He had all these sorcerers and all these people around him, and he went to them. That was an example for us today. He went to them, asked them to tell him the dream. They couldn't tell him the dream because the dream ain't had no shit to do with them. He had to go tell Hebrew to Joseph. And we do the same thing now with the powers that be today. They're dealing with them same gods that those people dealing with. They surrounded by sorcerers and Luciferians and all that. Same thing going on today. They just got on suits and ties. Ain't nothing new. Like I said, those spirits that Enoch told us, those spirits that came from the giants was going to roam the earth until the judgment comes. So they eternal. Ain't no new spirits, the same spirits. And he tell you the angels is eternal beings. That's why they forbidden to come down and sleep with women. Ain't no new set of angels. The same angels, same spirits.
Right.
Yeah, come on. So I'll play a little bit of this. We pretty much broke it down, but I want to. This what I mean by how you get brainwashed too. Like they talk about a picture's worth 1,000 words. Well, a video worth 2,000.
Seem almost supernatural, as if they were closer to heaven. The Mount of Transfiguration is one such place, where the perception of the boundary between our world and the divine seems to momentarily fade away. This event is one of the most mystical episodes in the New Testament. Picture this: 3 disciples, Peter, James, and John, are taken to a high mountain by Jesus. They don't know what to expect at the top, but upon arriving, they are met with a sight beyond imagination. Jesus, whom they knew as an ordinary man, is suddenly transfigured and shines with a radiance as intense as the sun. As if this were not enough, 2 prominent figures from the past, Moses and Elijah, appear beside him, conversing with Jesus as if they were old friends. This moment was extraordinary. Jesus' face shone.
So he says as if they're old friends. So right there, that puts him in the Old Testament. See what I'm saying? That's how typology works. Now he says they talking to him like they talked to him before. So that puts him in just by putting him there with Elijah and Moses, that puts him in the Old Testament. But we know it ain't him that was talking to Elijah and Moses, the Lord of hosts that was talking to Elijah and Moses.
Like the sun, and his clothes became as white as light. Matthew 17:2. But what if I told you that this mountain holds secrets not only for Peter, James, and John, but for all of us? Let's explore the story of this supernatural event and discover the profound messages that this radiant mountaintop experience has for each of us today. At that moment, Jesus was not the humble teacher or healer they were used to. This was Jesus manifesting radiant divinity, as if heaven itself had opened up to display his glory on that mountain. Moses and Elijah, figures from earlier times, were there conversing with Jesus as if they were old friends. This was a powerful sign of Jesus' connection to Israel's history and prophecy. And as suddenly as
they made it a powerful sign. with the trickery, with the typology, they made it a powerful sign.
Began, it was over. The cloud dissipated, Moses and Elijah disappeared, and Jesus returned to his usual appearance.
Yeah, I didn't catch that part. I didn't catch that part. You said the cloud dissipated, right? So this same cloud that Ezekiel saw that had Yahweh in it, right? And had Michael, Gabriel, Raphael in it, now it dissipated. Come on.
Disciples would never forget that day, however, for they had seen a glimpse of Jesus' true glory, a hint of who the divine Son of God really was. They came down the mountain somewhat dazed and overwhelmed, but Jesus gave them strict instructions not to tell anyone what they had seen until after his resurrection.
Right. So
they obeyed, but they remained with many burning questions in their hearts.
So if you want to see that, that's all. If you want to listen to that video, it's why did Jesus need to meet? Why did Jesus need to meet Moses and Elijah at the Transfiguration? So, like I said before, you got so many Negroes that I've been watching on YouTube for the last 20 or 30 years, and they want to say that he was black and his name was Yahushua. But I mean, they didn't just paint him white. The whole thing, the whole thing is a concoction. They ain't just painting white, like I said. Look at Santa Claus. We turned around and we started getting black malls and black apartment stores, and so on Christmas we started bringing a black Santa Claus in the mall and getting all children, black children, to sit in his lap. But he ain't started out black. We just made him black. He originally is white. His name Odin. He's a white dude from the north, up in the north, the Northman, a white man. That's who he is. Same right here. Everything about him, the story and all that he's a white man. You can't paint him black. Just like I can't take Santa Claus and paint him black. Santa Claus a white man. The whole concept of Santa Claus coming from the north, he ain't no black man. I can't make him black. He's a white man. Same with this. And that's why the Most High trying to wake you up, but they get to this point right here now. You always some old Afrocentric bull crap. Come on. So, with that being said, but yeah, I wanted to let everybody know too, like on we have 2 women's meetings during the week, right? We got one on Thursday nights, and then we come back and we have one on Sunday evening. So it's more like a podcast. The setup on Sunday is more like a podcast. So when you come in through YouTube, you can put your questions over in the comments, and then we bring the question over and we'll deal with the question. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go and check out the podcast. So that's what the objective is. We're trying to get more information out. Because the more questions come, the more information comes out. More things dots get connected, and things be illuminated. So that's the objective. So with that being said, anybody else have anything before we go?
No, sir.
Okay. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.